let's start off talking about your panel. You're on a FinTech panel. What is FinTech? Is it anything new? Is LMAX a FinTech really?
Sure, we're FinTech. FinTech is technology-enabled financial services. So if you like, everyone in this industry should be FinTech. But 3 years in the trot, we were the fastest growing FinTech company in the UK. So it probably means we are more lean, more agile than some of the bigger organizations out there. We can take more risks than they can. And hopefully we introduce better solutions that then everyone else can leverage off.
Okay. Inevitably, when you talk about FinTech, I'm not going to say the B word, but we'll get to that. Disruption is the other word I'm thinking of, right? Everybody loves to talk about disruption, disrupting the industry. Do you see yourself as disruptors? Is that what LMAX is trying to do here?
No, I see us as enablers.
Okay.
So we're trying to enable the industry to operate more efficiently and more fairly. Other people put that disruption word around companies like LMAX Exchange, but the FX market is the biggest asset class in the world. It doesn't really need disrupting. It needs to grow, and it needs to be enabled to allow it to grow. You know, it's $5 trillion a day, right? That is 30 times the fixed income market, 10 times all the equity markets. It's going to go to $10 trillion a day. It needs to be enabled by modern technology.
Okay. Talking about growth then, the latest BIS figures show that the market has actually shrunk for the first time since 1999. What's driven that?
Credit, lack of volatility, monetary policy, all of the above.
Okay.
Look, it's a blip. It's 3 years, it's a blip. It'll come back. By definition, there will be more foreign currency transacted.
Okay.
You know, as the world becomes more global, as you're seeing more aspirational economies, certainly led by the Asia-Pacific region, there has to be more foreign exchange. It will happen. It's those customers that drive it. It's that economic growth that drives the FX market. So sure, there's been a very small contraction, but there's been rapid growth over the previous 15 years. So yeah. I fully expect this industry of ours to be $10 trillion a day by 2025.
Okay, so if the growth comes back, then you expect it to continually growing in kind of the same rate it was before, or are we going to see a slower growth to that point?
I think you'll see geometric growth at times.
Okay.
And again, that's driven by the world economy, it's driven by emerging market economies. So yeah, as China contracts a little bit, or their growth slows,
yeah,
then that will affect the rest of the FX market. But I think that growth in all emerging markets comes in fits and starts.
Okay.
So there'll be times there'll be spikes.
You talk about technology enabling growth, helping us to build the FX market. Specifically, what technologies are you talking about there? What's the technology that's going to drive this growth then?
Funny enough, actually, we don't pick out technology. It's our job to harness the best of all modern technologies. Okay. But it's actually the processes behind it. So to give you a guide, to answer your question more, I'm not going to say to you, it's Java. I'm not going to say to you, it's Bitcoin, it's distributed ledger. We rewrite 50% of our code base every 18 months.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it gets old. It's old ideas. It's old processes. We've got to keep ourselves up to speed. So we must keep rewriting our technology and using whatever the best of breed is at that time to make sure our processes are modern and up to speed. So it's more that process rather than technology.
And is that a challenge for you? Because obviously, when I talk to people about technology in the market, one of the big problems that people seem to be bumping up against, certainly on the bank side, is the legacy infrastructure. And they've spent years bolting stuff on because they can't rip it up and start again. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the challenge for you then, as a FinTech, right, to constantly keep your technology new and update? But at the same time, because people rely on it, right? So you can't just rip out the heart of it and redo it every few months. Is that the big challenge for you then?
More of a mindset change. That's the problem. So you must never stop investing. If you stop for a year, if you focus maybe on the bottom line for just a year, then you're behind the 8 ball.
Okay.
And this is what happens at some of the larger institutions. They just cut their tech budget. You cut it for 1 year, you cut it for 2 years, they end up being 5 to 10 years behind. And then it's all about maintain. and maintaining old technology is really expensive. So your mindset has to be, I invest always, continuously, so that the cost of maintenance is kept low.
Okay. Can't talk about fintech without talking about blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you stand on it? Is this going to change everything? I mean, I feel like these days, if everybody flips a coin. Heads, they join R3, tails, they invest in digital asset. What's your kind of view on where the market's going with this?
I think blockchain distributed ledger is a solution looking for a problem.
Okay.
So, look, a lot of the ideas are great. It happens to be a fantastic piece of engineering. A very clever man came up with the idea, or woman, and other very clever people have implemented it. But I'm not sure it's exactly the solution. I've just said on the panel, I think the big change in the market will be instantaneous settlement.
Okay.
The assumption is that will happen on distributed ledger, or what they call distributed ledger and blockchain. I don't know if that's going to be the answer. Personally, I doubt it.
Okay.
But certainly we'll need to get to something which is a very efficient ledger, which means we haven't got to wait 2 days to get our money.
So, I was going to ask, on the technology side, are there any game changers left in FX? Or has the market kind of matured so much that anything new we do is just incremental?
I think, look, are there any game changers left? Probably everything which is going to be part of the FX market already exists, but it's not being used by the majority.
Okay.
Market data is too slow. It's too hard to get hold of. It's an unlevel playing field.
Yeah.
Firm liquidity, the same. Clearing, the cost of clearing is too high. The cost of accessing the clearing is too high. Accessing credit is difficult. So we'll find other solutions to that. Now, the game changers might be a product or two.
Okay.
Right? Can we have some central clearing that allays the fear of credit risk? Is that a game changer? If we go into that central clearing route, do we need a subtly different product that is still Eurodollar, but isn't spot T plus 2 Eurodollar?
Okay.
It remains to be seen. So you might define those as game changers. I think they're tweaks on products that are already existing.
Okay. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.